very low.
Oh, come on. All right, I'm going to set the bar really low. Then as long as I don't trip over it, I'll look good. No, we want to set the bar so high, you got to slam dunk that sucker. And now we're going to see who's dunking who. CLG versus Dig. Let's get into Champ Select. It's Irelia and Akali, both banned away again, along with Kiana not touching the Rift.
Yeah, no surprise there. I mean, it's pretty funny now, too, that two of the most talked about champions for solo laners in the current LCS scrim meta are Kiana and Rumble. Two of the champions that Dignitas / Klutz Gaming made their name on last year, combining for huge victories. And we're seeing some of them banned out here. The Rumble actually will get let through from the side of CLG. It could be first picked away from them, but that has been one that's very popular for all teams right now, because it's such a good flex pick. It's been used as a mid laner very heavily in the LPL as well as top laner. And when you have these types of players around, gotta give plenty of leeway.
Ruin hovering over a couple of questionable champion picks here. Remember, Garen's better than he used to be when he was nothing but Yumi's car, but he's still not at the point where he feels safe to blind pick. Instead, they're going to go with something that is very high priority with the Senna.
All right, Aphelios is left up. Tom Kench is locked in here for some safety for the bottom lane for Team Dignitas. Another one that's very big for bottom lane is Misfortune right now, and I really like the power that Misfortune's going to bring to your early game, plus the huge AoE from the ultimate. A lot of teams have been really happy with that one, but Team Dignitas don't pick their marksman just yet. They grab Grig the Elise, one of, if not the most highly prized early ganking jungler in the game right now. Because of the powerful mobility, CC, and damage you have, you can go affect these lanes very quickly.
And from what I said in the last game about how a lot of pro players rated top lane very low in terms of what's the most important lane, well, what if you can make your top laner a souped-up Walmart for the rest of the lanes in Ornn and just give them lots of free stuff? That's one way to impact the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's kind of funny right now because everyone's like, you know, nobody wants to play any tanks, except for Ornn. Of course, Ornn.
Yeah, we always want Ornn. Everybody wants to sound the horn in the middle of a team fight and give their carries some free stuff. Rek'Sai, another one of those powerful level 3 ganking champions like you're talking about in the jungle.
And I actually really do like Senna. One of the aspects that's kind of underrated is the camouflage that she can give the rest of the team. Moving up, when you have people camouflaged inside, you're able to get these long-range engages. And Ornn has one of the longest range engages in the game. So you can move the entire team up, get a lot of surprise team attacks in, try and make use of that towards the mid and later stages. Meanwhile, there's an early game stage lock in here.
Oh, baby.
Renekton is lane dominant right now, and probably the best pairing with Elise. Your stun makes it so easy to land Cocoon, and you can kill pretty much any champion in the game at level 3. If you have Renekton stun into Elise Cocoon, there's enough damage behind that. Plus, if that doesn't work, you can tower dive or tower dive their buddy and reset aggro.
I mean, this is what happens when you see your opponents lock in something that's going to scale crazy like Ornn does. You either say, all right, I guess we're playing the scaling game, or you pick something to beat them up with. And Renekton is the definition of a beat 'em up champion. Second phase of the ban's kicking off now. LeBlanc and Kennen banned out by Dignitas. As CLG says, you know what? 5 guns is 4 too many. Get Aphelios out of here.
And I expect probably a Misfortune to follow her way there. If it was a Misfortune, then what? Maybe Caitlyn is kind of close up there as far as the power. Varus is a very strong laning support as well, or laning marksman as well. We're going to take him out of the hands of Johnsun.
Well, Johnson's going with the Ashe.
Also strong. I was talking to Zale about this earlier, though, also, and he was really feeling the mana nerfs that Ashe got a while ago as far as spamming out the volley in lane. Still, I think, extremely good, but you have to be a little bit more conscious about your mana pool and managing that. Ashe still brings, of course, the ultimate, the iconic arrow that's going to get you engages, and you can use that towards the mid stages of the game to really push it forward.
Cassiopeia locked in here for the mid lane for Crown. We'll see how well that one works out. Isn't a mobile mid laner, so it could be vulnerable to those Elise ganks, to those Ashe arrows, to the engaged potential coming out from the side of Team Dignitas here.
Oh yeah, I would not be surprised if Crown takes Cleanse on this Cassiopeia. There is an Elise in the jungle, there's an Ashe in bottom lane that might be firing arrows at you at any time. Without even seeing the mid lane matchup, there's a possibility that he does take the Summoner spell.
Leona locked in for CLG. This is a very powerful engaged support right now, especially onto an immobile AD carry. That can hurt if Kinch is not ready.
And I was talking about the engaged, with Senna plus Ornn, in these long-range CCs. And Leona has another one of the longest-range RCCs in the game with her ultimate. This CLG composition here can definitely find some picks.
And we've got Victor there in the mid lane for Froggen. He's saying, all right, you're playing Cassiopeia. You're playing something that can zone people away, that has a lot of high damage potential. I will answer that call.
And I always do like the added factor that he's playing against Crown. His most iconic champion still to this day for me is the Victor because of his dominance with it in previous years. But Froggen going to be able to use that range, that wave clear. Very nice lane into Cassiopeia. Doesn't have to worry about some of the things that everyone else does have to worry about. Plus, the gravity field is kind of hard to do on your own, but if you have a jungler that has CC, or a jungler that can even slow them down with something like Chilling Smite, that goes a long way in actually making the gravity field much more threatening than most mid laners are able to walk their way out of it if you don't have supporting tools.
My favorite thing about this draft is the number of engage tools on both sides. Everybody except for Cassiopeia can engage on the side of CLG. Renekton, Elise, Ashe can all get things rolling on the side of Dignitas. That's exciting for me, because that means whenever either one of these teams smells some blood in the water, they can chomp at it.
Definitely going to be throwing some punches here. If you want to fight, you should be able to get it in this game.
That's exactly the kind of League of Legends I like watching, especially with both of these junglers on those powerful level 3 gankers. I want to see some contests for some crabs. I want to see some lane priority taken over. With that Renekton in particular in the top side, you expect that to be owned by Dignitas.
All right, and checking the summoner spell, since his matchup in the Victor doesn't necessitate a cleanse, Crown has not taken it here, so mid lane is a possible target for Elise. You always want to look at Elise Renekton. Sometimes that will be the super obvious ones, and teams will play around that.
Yeah.
It's nice to have more options here for Grig. There's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of talk. Also, speaking of Grig, about his time on TSM, he had that switch so often with Acadian in the jungle. And they talked about how he performed so much better in scrims than he did on stage, never was able to find it. Now with his starting spot on Team Dignitas with Elise here in the first game, you got to think that he wants to make a big play early.
And as we're waiting for the minions to spawn and the action to start, Ovly is standing by with a sideline report with ThinkCard. Take it away.
Thank you, Captain Flowers. I'm here with ThinkCard. No, I'm here with ThinkCard. This is Riv. Dignitas now coming back into the season, built around Huni. This team looks absolutely awesome. I have to ask you, though, starting off, how do you feel like the champion select went?
It went pretty much as expected. I don't think they threw any curveballs at us, and we got pretty much the champions that we wanted. So it comes down to execution at this point.
Very cool. And then looking at the members on this squad, ThinkCard, Huni, Froggen, Aphromoo, so many big, happy, smiling personalities. What's the camaraderie like on this team for everybody just around the house and every day?
Honestly, everyone's getting along really well. Everyone's joking at each other, teasing each other. So I'm really happy with everyone coming together, and we have a lot of try-hard people on the team. So work ethic is definitely not an issue.
And final question as we start getting some action here. Johnson's now on this team, like I said, amongst all of those big mentalities and play styles. How's he fitting in with the team?
He's fitting in nicely. Like I said, he's joking. He's making fun of Huni sometimes. So he's definitely finding his place.
Awesome. Very cool. ThinkCard, thank you very much. Back to you guys.
Gotta love the back and forth between the pros and rookies alike, seeing these guys have that camaraderie to be off to a good start here in week 1.
And some further history for people who might not recognize Johnsun's name. He did play a little bit in Academy with TSM Academy for a while. He did lose the few games that he played with them. But I also reached out to Peter Zhang, his former TSM Academy coach, to ask how he thought he was going to do on the big stage. Because, of course, you're always worried about new players on a big LCS stage like that. Will they get nerves? Will they be able to perform on stage? And Peter wasn't quite sure because he actually hadn't had him in that many games in Academy either, but he was fairly confident that he would fit right in since he knows a lot of these guys from solo queue and has been playing. I think he had maybe 4 accounts, was it? In the top 50 that he was able to get up there, all with different variations of the name.
That's 4 more than me. Either way, top side, you can see the Renekton. He shoved this wave up. He moved into the enemy jungle. He placed down a ward. And this is what CLG and Wiggily in particular is going to have to play around for the entirety of this game, at least during the laning phase, is knowing that Renekton's going to have that kind of priority and knowing he will have that type of control over this top half of the map.
And one of the big things why people say, oh yeah, I won't play tanks, but I'll play Ornn, is that Ornn actually has decent trades early on, but mostly it's for the scaling, for the extra items that you're going to bring in the river.
Bottom side, we're going to have some blood nice and early here, and CLG will take first blood, grabbing the pick onto Aphromoo.
Yeah, they're not giving up on that scuttle. They bring up Smoothie and Stixxay very early on, and this is one of the things where you're not listening in onto the comms, but they talk specifically about being very vocal early on. Wiggily makes a lot of those early calls, and Smoothie talks frequently, so they're able to collapse, they're able to make the first jungle move here. Aphromoo and Johnsun head up through the river, but they get flashed on. No hesitation from Smoothie there. Lands a flash E with the Leona, and they take the kill.
And you mentioned in Champion Select how CLG was able to climb up to 4th during Summer Split. So much of that was off of Wigglily's play, making this team succeed and finding avenues to make plays like that.
And I have to say, people are also a little bit worried, oh, is there going to be a problem with the 2 Koreans on the team and the communication? That's always a worry. But you can see, Crown immediately falls up. If you follow up, you flash Miasma on the ground, they can't flash away.
Yeah.
So it's really about that combo, not allowing any sort of escape for Team Dignitas, and that allows CLG to get that first blood.
That sort of suffocation and CC brings CLG up to a few hundred gold ahead of their opponents here nice and early. Of course, it's too early in the game for it to really lead to much more other than a scuttle crab, but it is nice to see them jumping on those opportunities.
All right, now, from Team Dignitas' perspective, 3 flashes were just blown, all for first blood there. So you have 2 areas that you can try and attack. The Leona on the bottom side, she's very tanky, but she is a melee champion, and sometimes you are able to get her in a longer lane down on the bottom side. Or, of course, Crown, who offensively uses the Cassiopeia flash, is another target that we talked about, Elise being able to attack.
And remember, Leona had her Eclipse changed a while back to be flat damage reduction instead of as much armor and MR, which means that Aftershock is actually more effective on her than before because you're not just overpiling on armor and MR now. It's 2 separate sources. Separate sources always stack better than having just one source made really, really high. Very, very deceptively tanky at some points in the game. Also rocking that new skin, which I really like those because who doesn't love giant robots?
I'd have to agree. I'm like, who doesn't love giant robots?
Yeah,
Probably everybody.
I'm trying to think. If I can think of anybody, I
Godzilla?
probably wouldn't hang out with him. Yeah, probably Godzilla. I wouldn't hang out with Godzilla. He just wants to destroy buildings and stuff.
All right, Wiggily wants a repeat gank on this bottom side, but Dignitas playing safe. They're able to scout it out.
All right, Wiggly's not going to make any sort of crazy aggressive move here just yet, but he is going to continue to hang around this bottom side, starting up the Drake. These Drakes are easier to kill early on with Rise of the Elements. They're not as tanky, not as sturdy as they used to be, so it's pretty easy for junglers to take them down nice and quick. 6.5 minutes into the game, looks like this will be Earth Drake for CLG.
And they're super easy to take if you have a Cassiopeia come from mid lane and add that extra DPS there. That was allowed because Crown pushes out on mid lane. Froggen goes for the recall with the Victor, and they make another play on the bottom half of the map. This does open up this synergy that we talked about, very famous, the Renekton and Elise, but since Ruin is now level 6 and playing safe under his turrets, it seems to be negated as an option. So one of the things that's been highlighted is their ability to play weak side Ruin, giving what the team needs. When you're on Ornn, try and stack up for it later on in the game to allow the extra gold efficiency in your item upgrades for your team. Just stay safe, don't give up too much.
Nice steal of the blue buff there coming out from Wiggily, making sure that that stays off of Froggen. Means it's going to be harder for that Victor to spam the wave with the powered up E to constantly try to shove that Cassiopeia in. Grig still hanging around this top side. Froggen as well in the brush just to see if maybe they can catch someone out. But Grig will steal away the enemy blue in retaliation for losing his.
All right, trying to split the 2 halves of the map here. Since bottom side has been controlled by CLG, Grig should be able to get it for Froggen, and having blue buff control here in the mid lane, allow him to spam it out, and maybe will result in something top side. They could continue this roam.
Ult coming out from Huni there. Will they go all the way in? It's a 3v1.
Yes.
Ruin's gonna have a perfect horn here, but the Ram just wanders off into the wild blue yonder, and Froggen will cash in on that play.
Yeah, that's a quick spoiler to that one. If you have 3 members surrounding you, are they going for this dive with Elise? Yes, and he's dead.
Well, that's some free money in Froggen's pocket, and that's exactly the champion you want to have that on.
All right. He's going to teleport right back to lane as well so it doesn't lose much time. And again, they've got vision through the jungle, so they know no support here coming for Ruin. Easy stack up. They land the stun.
Bye-bye, Ram.
No cocoon. He's toast. And it's an easy pickup. They don't have to worry about juggling tower aggro there either. Froggen, I believe we saw a teleport channel right before we land back to the replay, but it's going to be CLG moving out to the next objective. Rip Trail at 5,000 health. And everybody's here. This is 10 people for Rift Herald #1 Flowers.
And you saw Smoothie throw out the attempted engage there, also turning on the Eclipse, getting ready to try to go for this. But now Crown's looking to turn it on, and here we go. CLG starting off the fight. Grig barely getting himself away. CLG still pushing forward. So many low health bars on the side of Dig, and Johnsun is already dead. Crown takes the kill, and CLG take the fight.
The timing on this one is key, Flowers. The flashes for Wiggily, Crown, and Smoothie are all back off cooldown. Well, another synergistic play as everyone flashes forward once again. Crown starts out with the AoE ultimate to slow them down. They get the single kill, but Dignitas, they've got the revive, and they're back here. Rift Herald takes so long that he's able to revive, and they're heading back out onto the map. CLG should be able to pick it up, though.
Grig is half HP. This is so dangerous to try to wander up into this. Smoothie's still not level 6, thankfully, for Dig, so there's no solar flare engage, but he'll be there before too much longer, so they really need to respect what's going on here. Stixxay and Smoothie continuing to walk up into the lane. Huni popping the ulti, able to find quite a stun there onto Smoothie, who continues to disengage. Stixxay looking to help him out there, firing off the ulti, grabbing the shield, but Smoothie is unafraid. He continues going back in, but he overextends too far. Ruin has made his way into the back line, still looking to make more happen. Wiggily also going to continue diving further, but instead he goes too far. Dignitas get themselves some kills.
Sometimes you should be afraid. 2 kills now gone over for CLG as they try and turn that one around, but they sustain too much damage too early on. I don't think they expected the 4th member of Dignitas to be there, and that is Dig striking back, punishing the offensively blown flashes from CLG. They know that while Smoothie just was able to get that kill for CLG by offensively going forward and starting to engage, he's got nothing to get him out on the receiving end here. So the stun goes up, and since CLG make the call with the teleport to turn this around, they actually go for the kill onto Grig, but it is a deep Elise, and there's no damage to follow up. So Grig goes into the repel, turns it around, gets the execute onto Wiggily, and that is 2 back in the pockets for Team Dignitas.
CLG thought they were the bamboozlers, but instead just got bamboozled themselves by the extra man from Dig, and that means Dig now sit at almost 1,000 gold ahead of their opponents. Stixxay and Smoothie now sitting up here in this top side. Smoothie with that ultimate ready on the Leona. You've got to respect that if you're Dignitas.
All right, 3 members also need to be respected. Huni backing up a little bit, but he's really trying to keep some extra health on this tower, making CLG think twice about actually committing their melee champions to help get turret plates off.
Still 2.5 minutes to take those plates. They fall at 14. So we'll see how much money CLG is able to mine off of this turret.
Dignitas also have a Tahm Kench in mid lane with Ashe, so they could threaten a Tahm Kench Abyssal Voyage up to the top side if CLG try anything as far as a dive goes. So I think that CLG should be much more cautious this time around. And the answers are definitely there from Dig.
So many things you have to keep in mind playing against the Tahm Kench. You've got to respect the in-fight devours, the out-of-fight voyages. The champion just requires a lot of attention to be paid at all times.
Yeah. I will say, at least for the level 1 ultimate, the range is a lot shorter than it used to be when a champion first came out. So you get a little bit of time to react as soon as you see the Tahm Kench leave mid lane. And you're like, hey, it's probably going to be about halfway up the river until the attack comes through. Infernal Drake's the next target, though, and Dig are in position first. You can see on the mini-map, though, bottom side, they've got Wiggily and Ruin in a brush, waiting for someone to come to lane, but there's an objective up there already. Nobody's going to lane.
Not much longer. That objective is taken, and the Cloud wins quicken. That means we're going to see extra movement speed zones around the red and blue buffs on both sides of the map.
Setting up for a play that's not going to happen down in that bottom lane by Flowers.
Yeah, well, can't win them all. Their hearts were in the right place. Their champions just weren't.
All right. Dig pretty happy to get that Infernal Drake for themselves and even it out. And honestly, even though CLG do have one of the rare tanks, two of the rare tanks actually, this is probably one of the most effective use of Mountain Drake that I've seen in a long time. A lot of compositions nowadays don't have that many champions that are building full defenses, but CLG might get a decent amount out of those percentage buffs. Meanwhile, pretty much everybody happy to have Infernal. Finally are able to get some money out of that Rift Herald for themselves as well, and CLG draw a bit closer in that gold exchange.
Yep, a nice use of Shelly, just shy of taking down that tier 1, and like you said in the first game, close but no cigar doesn't cut it. The first turret bonus, of gold, still up and on the table for either side. Froggen and Crown getting into a bit of a scuffle here in the top lane as Froggen expends the ultimate. Crown not having to use anything out of his arsenal. Still waiting in that brush. Might try to slither around the alcoves, make some sort of a sneaky play.
Froggen's calling for the team. Look at that mini-map right now.
Oh, they're ready.
4 people moving up. Crown's trying to play around here defensively in the brush, but if you have 4 people from Dig heading to the top side, that's going to be rough getting out of that one.
Oh, they have to have seen that the volley hit something there.
Yeah, he knows he's got the extra attack speed.
All right.
Find the snake.
Can the snake slither away, or is he going to get turned into a nice pair of boots? He goes for the petrifying gaze, but he can't stare nobody down like that. That's another kill going over to Froggen.
All right, CLG, now knowing that 4 members are top, since Crown can account for all of them, trying to push down mid lane, but they get collapsed on with a teleport.
Huni just has to walk away here. CLG's got too many people around, and Dignitas will grab themselves that turret up there in the top side. The gold still within 1,000 here. Both these teams, although they've found plays back and forth a bit, have stayed within striking distance of one another.
Yep, definitely have done that. In the opposing sides of this map, turrets traded for bottom and top side, and we'll see if they can get a rotation out here because there's a fight in the river already.
Huni starting off with the ultimate, but a nice 2-man knockup comes through from Ruin. CLG looking to disengage engage this one. That gator is huge, but unfortunately he's also pretty slow. Dig will not find the play they're looking for, and CLG walk away.
Costly in cooldowns for CLG there. 2 flashes on their frontline members, plus the Ornn ultimate used here for CLG, so let's see if Dignitas can actually answer back. I really, maybe we'll see the timing on the Ash Arrow. Once Johnsun CD comes back up, that thing's very, very close to coming off cooldown, and generally you'll see some of these control wards like you see on screen in really good spots to set up Ash Arrows from. If you shoot your Ash Arrow from out of vision, where you know you have true sight, makes it a lot easier to land those picks, and then your team can collapse on them. If they set someone up with that, Elise and Tom Kench can get there quickly.
And we have seen a lot of Dig's plays this game come from counterattacking CLG after CLG makes the move first and expends those flashes. Wiggily and Ruin are going to be who I keep my eyes on. Of course, Ruin has used the Summoner Spellbook. He says, look, I know I'm not going to have my flash. We'll trade it off for something else that will be useful in a fight. Put the Ignite in there. I'll be keeping eyes on whether or not they can make a kill happen with that. Some CC coming down onto Grig, who repels away from the Solar Flare. And now Dignitas will see what they can find. Ruin's here on the front line, has to charge away. Froggen dropping the ultimate, the CC comes through, the damage is down, and Froggen is a cannon this game.
Well played by Dignitas there. CLG still don't have the Ornn ultimate. We are talking about them burning from the bottom lane skirmish, and if you use your Solar Flare on Elise that has Repel available, then there's no more CC. All these big CC tools that we have not available for CLG. So Dignitas doing a good job getting a kill back there for themselves and turning it into an objective.
And you can see Huni trying to come around there on the sides. Maybe a flank is available. Wiggily, however, has the trimmer sense to see that somebody was over the wall. That means CLG can immediately fall back, not put themselves in a bad spot for this. But Dignitas have built themselves a bigger, better lead now. They've got a Rift Herald ready to go here, locked and loaded on Grig to get even more gold in their pocket.
See if they can get a reset, because they need multiple people to buy. Froggen goes back to base, able to get a lot more AP for himself. That might not give them time to get back to this dragon. Wigglily's already started it up.
The Rift Herald will be summoned in mid lane, so they're saying, all right, CLG, if you want the Drake, it is going to cost you. And it looks like that's the play. They know they won't be able to rotate in time.
All right, Rift Herald takes out mid. Trade of objectives will be complete as the tower goes down. And the Ornn ultimate's back up. Solar Flare almost off of cooldown. So they can look if there's some positioning. Shelly gets off the last charge. That's a feel-good moment because the damage that she does is very high. She also kills herself very quickly now.
Yeah.
As long as you get that charge off, though, you feel like you got the full value.
She loses most of her HP on the first charge these days.
Yeah.
That second charge just feels phenomenal, especially when she's down to 400 HP or whatever that was, where a few more auto attacks would have taken her out. Dignitas happy to grab that one. Happy to be sitting 2,500 gold ahead of their opponents. They're down one Drake. But as we mentioned in the first game, it's not so much about being down a Drake. It's more so how close are they to Soul, and CLG still need a minimum of 2 more Drake to get that.
And look at this money. Froggen, the richest man in the game. With those 3 kills on the Victor, this is where the Dignitas damage is coming through. You talked about him bursting down the last couple of hits for that kill in the previous engagement. Victor, with that laser, is going to be what they play around. Yes, CLG have a lot of CC, so they should be looking at him with their Ornn, with their Solar Flare from Leona to try and take down that big threat.
Froggen with legitimately twice as much gold as Smoothie here in this game. Of course, mid laners will always have a bigger budget than support.
Fair.
But twice as much is still a pretty cool milestone to see, as we'll see how Dignitas continues to build this lead. Working on that bottom lane tier 1 turret. That one will fall, and that is the final link in that outer turret chain here. That means more map control for the side of Dignitas. That means it's easier to push up into the CLG jungle, put these wards down, look for what you were talking about specifically with those Ash arrows. If there's a control ward in your jungle and you get popped with an arrow, all of a sudden the goon squad's coming after you.
I like what they did. They split the map trying to trade some objectives here instead of actually forcing it. See if they can have some setup, because we're approaching the 20-minute mark. Everybody's favorite time where Baron
Oh, baby.
pulls some more action and some more control wards up to the top half of the map. Teleports are available on the side of CLG. So what you always recommend is them trying to get that side lane control. You can see Ruin pushing out the bottom side. Ornn's got the teleport available. Huni and Froggen for Dignitas both still have them on cooldown, so they have to worry about getting flanked, about getting engaged on while the map is split.
Yup. Always got to be mindful of how many bodies are there and how many could be there in the flick of your wrist when somebody decides to use that TP. One thing that's also worth pointing out, Ruin, now level 12. Remember, that's when the Ornn items start coming online. He's got the Iceborne Gauntlet upgraded into the Frozen Fist, and that just means every level after this, it's going to be another item for either him or one of his teammates to juice them up and make that gold lead that Dignitas has earned shrink.
Also, since I know this is your favorite game,
Yes.
it's time for the stopwatch check. Since we've got-
Stopwatch, baby!
We have a team fight approaching, and CLG are loaded with possible denials for someone who gets picked.
Yes, I believe this stopwatch is, in the right situation, the strongest item in the game, bar none. Completely changes the way a team fight can go. And 4 of them? I'm going to hear that noise in my dreams.
What that means is that Johnsun will be aiming directly for stacking CC on Stixxay. Stixxay's got the cleanse. He's the only one without a stopwatch. So maybe they can try and burn that and see if they can get an engage. Otherwise, it does look like it might be another case where Dig just wait for the CLG move and then counterattack.
You can see Dig with control over that Baron area right now. As I said last game, 21 minutes in is pretty early to try to rush it down and explode it really quickly. However, you do have to always respect your opponents having so much control over the map. If you're in a position like where CLG is right now, you don't just want to concede everything to the side of Dignitas. One ward in the Baron pit from CLG has managed to escape those Dig sensors and will continue to keep an eye on the objective.
That is a very dark map for CLG. And since Dragon is spawning, they're trying to get in position, get some vision down around the river for the arrival of Cloud Drake number 2. Meanwhile, with 30 seconds to go, that's plenty of time for Froggen to base and get his second needlessly large rod. Extra power here packed in to that very formidable Victor.
And one thing I also want to point out that's very important, the second item that Huni's gone for, it's not the usual Chad build Renekton stuff that you see where he just goes for bruiser items and damage. It is a Gargoyle Stone Plate. His job is to be the meatball among the pasta that is Dignitas and make sure that he can just go in there and soak damage all day when he initiates his fights.
All right, does get hit with the snare, but it's just waiting at the duration of CC here. CLG have control over the Dragon Pit. Not starting it up yet, just baiting a little bit.
Wiggily and Smoothie isolated right now. Smoothie has to flash away from that cocoon. Even if you are tanky on the Leona, your opponents can collapse and blow you up 5 men strong.
They got it spread.
All right, it's Ruin initiating things. He's able to find a knockup 1-2 there with the ultimate, but Smoothie's got to be careful. He and Crown on the opposite side. Huni going to be taken very low, even with a stone plate. His HP is dangerously dwindling as CLG will manage to keep the enemy front line low enough to take control of the Drake Pit for now. Dig not willing to surrender it here just yet. CC coming down. Smoothie going to be taken very low, having to go into that stopwatch to survive the Chaos Storm. Smoothie barely hobbles out. TP comes in from Huni, and it's control over the Drake Pit for Dig, and they will take that Drake.
Nobody dies in this. Let me account how well that was played by Dig, though. They disengage, and they keep Huni alive and give him time to go back and use the teleport. That is all about CLG using their openers with the Ornn ult, with the Leona ult, not being able to find that kills, and Dignitas not fighting afterwards. They just delay around the dragon. Since Wiggily got low inside that Dragon Pit, tanking it, he eventually had to exit the Dragon Pit. And Team Dignitas are able to buy time for Huni to teleport back with full health.
Dignitas also reaching into the toolbox, pulling out the hammer, bang, 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 blast one of those stopwatches. That thing's broke. Only 3 left to worry about here for the next team fight. Of course, those are still on 3 very important members of the side of CLG. Second Ornn item also coming in now. Ruin getting that second item in inventory means he is able to upgrade it for himself. Remember that first level Ornn does get 2 to upgrade. He just didn't have the other item in his inventory to juice up just yet.
All right. Those needlessly large rods have been combined into the Death Cap, Captain Flower.
2 sticks makes a hat, and that hat means you got to be sweating if you're on the side of CLG.
All right, once again, it is going to be about how do they continually avoid those CC layering abilities from CLG, though. They were able to do it in the river, but for how long? Because if that combo does land, it all comes crashing down.
Oh, here comes the Ornn Horn! Wiggly's gonna be taken low, goes into the stopwatch to stay alive. Froggen is chain CC'd, he's nearly taken down, but the cavalry has arrived. The shields will come down, and a double kill for Froggen.
Froggen survives. For how long, Captain Flower? Well, a little bit longer, I guess.
About a hot minute.
They avoid the initiation of CLG. They turn it back around. Froggen fights his way out of it. That's now 5 kills to the victor. They don't waste any time. Teleport him right back from base and up to the Baron.
It's a day of mid laners here on day 1 of Spring Split, and I am loving it so far. Froggen going to be continuing to zone CLG away with those lasers, with those gravity wells. Grig wants to come around from the side, see if maybe there's an opportunity to make a flank. Still 1 dead on the side of CLG for another couple seconds. However, he does have TP, so Dig don't want to start up a Baron here or anything too risky.
Exactly. That's the thing to keep in the back of your mind. If the one champion who has died is a champion with teleport, then Baron starting is much, much riskier. So Dignitas, don't take that opportunity for a possible throw. They'll just reset and try and get Froggen up to the Lich Spade that he's worked for.
Well, if you thought the damage wasn't enough already, wait till you see those enchanted Lich Bane Qs blow 2/3 of a carry's health off. It is so difficult to deal with if you're ever within range of them. Let's take another look at how this fight happened.
So Froggen was harassing Wiggily down, then Wiggily flashes in for the knockup. Ruin trying to follow with his own ultimate there, but because Froggen was able to gain distance and then got the shield off of his Q, he survives here. No damage left to finish him off. With a Rek'Sai and an Ornn, they just were unable to take him down in time. And the arrival of the rest of the Dignitas members means we arrive now towards the mid lane.
Oh, Stun coming down there. Johnson's able to start this fight off. Smoothie gonna be tanky now with the Gargoyle Stone Plate. Huni looking to keep Dignitas alive by front lining. Goes into a stopwatch of his own. Ruin's also gonna be kept alive there with a stasis. Both sides backing away. Huni once again just escaping by the skin of his teeth from these fights.
Close one there, and they're gonna both retreat, lick their wounds, heal back up in the fountain. And with so much AoE here, so much wave clear, that's just gonna be a standoff. And then we're gonna continually fight over control of this Baron Pit area until that finally breaks. Big CCs used, not too many cooldowns here. Ruin does have to flash out though, I believe. So that is gonna be no flash on Ornn at least for the next coming fight.
Well, all the get-out-of-jail-free cards that we've had in this deck so far have been exhausted with the stopwatches being broken in all these fights. Only one remains on Crown. Grig does have a fully completed Zhonya's Hourglass, so he will be able to use that pretty much every fight. But that means that when you get caught for real now. No more buying time, no more getting yourself away and trying to bait your opponents in. The consequences are more dire than ever as we see Dignitas step up into the CLG jungle.
This does feel like a Dragon Soul game as well, so both teams really want to get this third dragon just to set them up for Dragon Soul. It's about to arrive, and Dignitas have been able to push out the mid-wave. See if they can get it without giving up too much priority over the Baron. CLG can always threaten to trade that objective.
Dignitas
Doing just that.
They've got to be ready for this. CLG are starting it up, and they've got no fear, it seems. Crown still hanging out behind the rest of the squad, making sure that if Dignitas does a hard engage onto the Baron Pit team, he's able to be that special unit off to the side, ready to come in and clean everybody up. But it's not going to happen just yet. CLG recognize this is a dangerous situation to be caught in, and they want to back away.
Yeah, decent amount of damage sustained by Wiggily, but it was also an Ash Arrow used by Dig, so both of them with a few resources used. Can Huni get out of this Baron Pit after taking the ward? Doesn't look like he wants to stick around to find out, because CLG are moving in on it.
But I do like this. Grig soloing down the Cloud Drake. It's not particularly difficult to kill for an Elise that has the items that he does. And this will put Dig on soul point for the next Drake. It means CLG must stop them.
I like that. Soul points.
Yeah!
Coming up here for Dig. Let's see if they're going to be able to... All they have to do until that point is just defend around the Baron. Now the pressure of possible Baron play is actually taken off their shoulders because they have so much more priority around the Dragon than CLG do.
And remember, with the way the new Cloud Drake Soul works, it is 10% movement speed at all times with a massive movement speed bonus for 2 seconds after you use your ultimate. For champions like Ashe, for champions like Renekton, for champions like Victor that all want to pop their ult and then immediately follow up, that can be super daunting to have to deal with in a team fight. Yep. This could be a really big thing if Dig's able to grab it here in 5 minutes, but we will have to wait to see what happens between now and then. CLG still about 3,000, 4,000 gold behind. They're not completely out of this game. You've got a Cassiopeia scaling up. You've got a Senna that's farming souls and getting more and more range. And we can't forget the Ornn items are still being built.
Exactly. This game is not suddenly going to turn into a Cloud9 TL game where it ends extremely quickly. This is going the long haul, Captain Flowers. Both teams
settle in, ladies and gentlemen. Buckle your seatbelts. Get ready to go. I expect we'll be watching this one here for a little while longer.
Baron bait here, trying to be set up by Dig, but CLG not taking it. They've got the Scuttle Crab for themselves, so there's no reason to venture into any of those rush in the jungle.
Grig just had a situation happen that I hate, where your teammate is sweeping a ward and he sees it, but he doesn't go after it, and you want to clean it up. You're like, hey, come back here. I'm trying to get rid of this. But unfortunately, he only got one of the auto attacks down. Wasn't able to take care of it just yet. You can see Huni sweeping up. Oh, it happened to him twice. Okay, he got that one. I was about to be tilted for him.
All right, here we go. Will we get a side initiation? Johnsun holding on to the arrow for now.
Just waiting to see if there's an opportunity here.
Remember, CLG should have their eyes on Froggen. Initiation on this Victor is critical. It is a Lichbane Death Cap Victor. 5 kills to his name. And he is separate from the top
but
guy.
Here they go! He's going to be locked down and Froggen's taken out. This is going to be dire here for the side of Dignitas. Froggen barely getting himself away. Huni's going to be tanking up. Aphromoo taken out, and CLG have found one hell of a fight. Huni barely gets away, and that is exactly what the doctor ordered for the CLG faithful.
They follow the shot call, Captain Flowers. As they eyes on Froggen, they go right at Froggen because Tahm Kench is separate. Tahm Kench is protecting Ashe, yet Froggen is the biggest threat, and he gets annihilated, even though they didn't get the kill. Forcing him out of the fight means they start up the Baron. He's teleported back though, Dig can take it.
Froggen has made the TP, Dig is not willing to give this one away. Let's see how it goes. Gravity Field gonna come down, and Smoothie is gone. Dignitas have managed to stop the Baron take. CLG in full retreat away from the objective. Dig doesn't want to go up and try to continue what they started. They're happy just stopping the objective.
Teleports come up huge, Captain Flowers. Froggen is able to teleport right back after healing in base. He doesn't die. Abyssal Voyage means it's now Dig's turn.
TP available for Crown. CLG, they need to stop this. You can't afford to give this one away. Half HP on both Grig and Huni. We'll see if they're able to make their way into the fight. Gravity Field is going to block off the ramp. And the zone control. Game 1 was decided by zone control, and Game 2, it just decided a Baron.
Froggen barely survives again. Look at this. He is sitting past the control ward, so he feels pretty safe, but he goes out. As soon as he shows his face, Smoothie flashes in, but they can't finish him before Tahm Kench flashes over, devours him, gets him to the other side of the wall. And then Dig, once again, even though he died for it, valiant effort there from Tahm Kench to save the carry that matters. And Froggen with teleport gets back out into the river. With Smoothie turning around and no threat of the rest of the team behind him, that is an easy isolated kill for Dignitas. You can see Wiggily went over the back of the Baron pit.
Yep.
Nobody was behind Smoothie when he goes for that engage. So it is a quick turn and burn for Team Dignitas. They arrive to the scene of the crime. They take that kill and they will take that Baron.
And now 30 seconds until they could take that soul that we were talking about before. The Cloud Drake about to spawn. Dignitas wearing purple across the roster here. They're powered up, they're ready to go. They can enchant the minion waves to be that much stronger and give them priority. CLG have to decide, is this worth fighting for, or do you yield soul?
It's gotta be so difficult right now. You can see Grig goes, pops the plant. He's gonna get into the pit and they're gonna try and burn it down. CLG moving into the river.
Huni grabbing a stun onto Smoothie. Has some damage coming down, but Huni's gonna be careful now to not overextend himself just yet. Ruin firing off the ulti, only gonna find the knock-up onto Huni. That Gargoyle Stone Plate doing a good job keeping this top laner alive, keeping him healthy. Dig, going for the Drake. CLG with Wiggily over the wall, looking to potentially fight for it. Smoothie's into the back line, the redemption comes down, and Johnsun's grabbing the kill. The Drake's gonna be taken very low. It's secured by Wiggily! The soul is not gone yet! Grig chases after, but he won't find anything. Crown slithers away. Dig still in hot pursuit, trying to make something happen here. Can you catch a former world champion as he tries to slink out? The volley's not gonna hit him. Johnson's after him. Oh, here comes your Tahm Kench with the cutoff. Froggen's made his way into the fight, and Johnsun grabs the kill.
I am very ready for this replay, Flowers, because I'm going to split attention of the viewers. There are two very big things going in the same time. All right, initially, you have Smoothie distracting up on this river side. He's going to go for the engage, while Wiggily looks just for the steal for CLG. I thought that Dignitas completely had the upper hand here, but they do get split, and there's a reset of the Dragon. Smoothie goes in on the top side, but Wiggily will go in towards the Dragon pit, and he tries to friend. So Huni and Grig both panic. They go on this Dragon, and it resets back to the middle. The spike comes at 38 health from Wiggily, and then same tunnel he took to get in there is able to take on his way out, allowing for them to actually stall the soul. But because they only had two dragons, it's not a big prize for them. Dignitas, during our replays, have laid destruction to the base.
Both teams are now on soul point. Next Drake will determine who manages to claim it. That's going to be in 3 minutes, though, and Dignitas have laid siege to that bottom lane inhibitor. With that gone, it's that much more pressure in the opposite side of the base as the next Baron, which will be that next objective on the map here at 2.5 minutes from now.
Okay.
All right, let's recount everything. Let's collect our breath a little bit, take stock of the situation. Where are we? If you're CLG, you're 7,000 gold down. You are hiking up a hill to get there. But remember, that gold lead is deceptive as the Ornn items are worth about 1,000 gold apiece. So with 3 of those in their inventory, it feels more like a 4,000 gold lead for the side of team.
Definitely true. One thing that they really have to worry about, Stixxay right now has nothing as far as survivability. So the Senna is very vulnerable. No flash for a little bit longer, no cleanse. You know, the cooldown on that summoner is very short, so should be up pretty soon. But Stixxay has to play the most careful of the CLG members at the moment. Dignitas are on the warpath. They've already opened up the bottom side of CLG's base. Middle is an exposed inhibitor, and they've got control of the map right now. So all they have to do is try and push in. If Froggen remains deathless this game, they're going to win. Yep. This Victor can put out so much damage, and his positioning and his play in these fights where he gets pressured has been so good at not going down that Dignitas should be able to continue to move it in and use that extra wave control.
And as you're talking about flashes being important, the teleport for Froggen. Remember the last fight, although they zoned him out and won the fight initially, because he had TP and was able to follow up, it means your win means nothing. You can't get anything with it. Froggen's got that ready to go here again. Solar Flare comes down. Froggen's not going to be caught out just yet. Grig having to go into the repel. Smoothie's going to be tanking everything up here on the front line. Grig walks himself away, and the Chaos Storm is shredding some health bars. Grig's going to be kept alive there by Azonia's Hourglass. It's a fight where nobody dies, but the final inhibitor turret does fall on the CLG side.
And because the Baron is coming up quickly, Dignitas, again, risk averse here. They do not want to take a chance at throwing at going for that inhibitor. They want to full reset. They don't want to let any chance of CLG getting back into this game through some Baron shenanigans.
Yep.
And they want to be able to protect it.
I've said this in previous years, but for any new viewers, I'll say it again. You win League of Legends one of 2 ways. You either make the bigger, cooler play, or you be less stupid than your opponent. And preventing yourself from throwing and giving away a Baron is how you are significantly less stupid than your opponent compared to the other option. So let's see if this ends up paying off for the side of Dig. Can they play this slow? Can they play it steady? 8,500 gold up. That is a comfortable lead to sit on, but it's Smoothie going in. It's Ruin summoning up the Ram, but it's Huni into the back line and on to Stixxay. Not quite able to find the damage. The crowd's got a shutdown on to Froggen. Huni's grabbing the kill on to Stixxay in the back line as Johnsun goes on a rampage, and Dignitas are simply too far ahead. Huni is tearing this team apart.
Dignitas are going to be able to run that one straight to the Nexus.
Risk averse puts them in a spot where they feel comfortable taking a fight. Aphromoo, how many licks to the center of the Smoothie pop? It's gonna take a couple, but he'll get them nonetheless. Nexus turret's falling. Aphromoo grabs the kill. Crack open a cold one. It's a Bud Light ace for Dignitas, and they got the win.
Aphromoo doing it for the Bud Light sponsor, making sure they get that ace at the end, tracking down his opponents and finding that kill.